You've seen it happen. The person who never hurt anyone gets diagnosed with a terrible illness. The one who always helped others loses their job. The most generous heart gets betrayed by those they loved most. And you wonder, where is justice? Where is fairness? Al-Ghazali found the answer in the most unexpected place. Al-Ghazali was once the most respected scholar in the Islamic world. Students traveled from distant lands just to hear him speak. Kings sought his counsel. His books were treasured across continents. He had everything a man could want: fame, wealth, influence, respect. Yet inside, he was dying, because Al-Ghazali had seen too much. He had witnessed the innocent suffer while the corrupt prospered. He had watched good people lose everything while evil flourished. The contradiction between what life should be and what it actually was began to tear him apart from the inside. One day, standing before hundreds of students who hung on his every word, Al-Ghazali felt something break inside him. All his knowledge felt empty. All his answers felt hollow. He could no longer pretend that life made sense. The question that had been haunting him finally consumed him completely. If the universe has any order, any justice, why do good people suffer the most? That night, Al-Ghazali abandoned everything. He left his position, his wealth, his reputation. He became a wanderer, searching for an answer to the question that was destroying him from within. For years, he traveled, studied, reflected, and questioned everything he thought he knew about fairness and suffering. What he discovered changed not just his life, but his entire understanding of what it means to be human. And once you understand his answer, you will never look at your own struggles the same way. Again, Al-Ghazali realized that we have been asking the wrong question entirely. We ask, why do bad things happen to good people? But the real question is, what if what we call bad things are not actually bad at all? Think about it. A child cries when the doctor gives them a vaccination. To the child, the needle is pure suffering. It hurts, it's frightening, and it seems completely unfair. The child cannot understand why someone who claims to care about them would cause them pain. But the parent knows the injection will protect the child from far greater suffering. Later, Al-Ghazali discovered that life operates on the same principle, but on a scale so vast that we cannot see the complete picture. What appears to be senseless cruelty from our limited perspective might actually be profound wisdom from a higher vantage point. Consider the most successful people you know. Ask them about their journey, and they will tell you about failures that devastated them, rejections that broke their hearts, losses that seemed to destroy everything they had worked for. Yet they will also tell you that without those exact experiences, they would never have become who they are today. The betrayal that taught them discernment, the failure that forced them to discover their true strength, the loss that opened their eyes to what really mattered. Al-Ghazali called this the hidden curriculum of existence. But here is where Al-Ghazali's insight becomes truly revolutionary. He realized that the people who suffer the most are often those who have the greatest capacity for growth. Think about it. If you were training someone for the Olympics, would you give the same workout to a beginner and a champion? Of course not. The champion receives the most challenging training because they can handle it, and because that's what they need to reach their highest potential. Al-Ghazali discovered that life operates by the same principle. The universe doesn't give you what you want. It gives you what you need to become who you are meant to be. And sometimes, what you need most looks like the last thing you would ever choose. There was a merchant who lost his entire fortune in a single day. His business collapsed, his partnerships dissolved, his investments vanished. He spent months in despair, wondering what he had done to deserve such catastrophe. But that loss forced him to discover talents he never knew he had. Within 5 years, he had built something far greater than what he had lost, and he had become a person of much deeper wisdom and compassion. Years later, he said, I used to think that day was the worst of my life. Now, I know it was the day my real life began. Al-Ghazali would say this: merchant experienced what he called the blessing disguised as a curse. The painful event that appears to be your destruction might actually be your construction. The person you are becoming requires experiences that the person you were could never understand or appreciate. This is why good people often face the greatest challenges, not because the universe is unfair, but because they have the capacity to transform those challenges into wisdom, strength, and character. A weak tree breaks in the storm, but a strong tree bends and grows deeper roots. But Al-Ghazali went even deeper. He discovered that our definition of good people might itself be flawed. We tend to think that good people are those who never face difficulties, who live comfortable, easy lives. But Al-Ghazali realized that the truly good people are those who face difficulties and choose to respond with grace, patience, and compassion. Anyone can be kind when life is easy. Anyone can be generous when they have abundance. Anyone can be patient when everything goes their way. But the person who remains kind in the face of cruelty, generous despite loss, and patient through suffering, that person has achieved something extraordinary. Al-Ghazali called this the alchemy of the soul. Just as heat and pressure transform coal into diamond, life's difficulties transform ordinary people into extraordinary ones. The suffering is not the punishment. It is the process. Think about the people you most admire. Not the ones who have had easy lives, but the ones who have faced real challenges and emerged with their humanity intact. Their wisdom didn't come from books. Their compassion wasn't learned in classrooms. Their strength wasn't built in comfort. These qualities were forged in the furnace of real experience. This is why Al-Ghazali said that if you truly understood the hidden purpose behind your difficulties, you would thank existence for them. Not because the pain itself is good, but because of what the pain enables you to become. But there is an even deeper layer to Al-Ghazali's discovery. He realized that we suffer not just from our circumstances, but from our resistance to our circumstances. The person who loses their job and spends months in bitterness and resentment suffers far more than the person who loses their job and sees it as an opportunity for a new beginning. Two people can face the exact same loss, but their experience will be completely different based on how they choose to relate to that loss. One sees betrayal and becomes cynical. The other sees the same betrayal and becomes wise. The external event is the same, but the internal response creates two entirely different realities. Al-Ghazali discovered that we cannot always control what happens to us, but we can always control what we make of what happens to us. And what we make of our experiences determines not just our happiness, but our character, our growth, and our contribution to the world. This insight led Al-Ghazali to perhaps his most profound realization. The people we call unlucky might actually be the most fortunate of all. They have been given the opportunity to develop qualities that comfortable people never need to cultivate: resilience, compassion, wisdom, inner strength. These treasures are not available in the marketplace. They can only be earned through experience. Al-Ghazali often told the story of two gardens. One garden was perfectly maintained, never facing drought, storm, or harsh weather. Its plants grew tall and lush, but remained shallow-rooted and weak. The second garden faced regular challenges: storms that bent its trees, droughts that tested its endurance, harsh seasons that seemed to threaten its survival. But these challenges forced the plants to grow deep roots, strong branches, and resilient character. When the ultimate test came, a hurricane that destroyed everything in its path, the first garden was completely uprooted and destroyed. But the second garden, though battered and scarred, remained standing. Its deep roots and strong character had been built through exactly the challenges that seemed so unfair. Al-Ghazali would ask, which garden was truly blessed? The one that lived in comfort and died in the first real test, or the one that was challenged constantly and developed the strength to survive anything? This perspective transforms everything. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" you begin to ask, "What is this teaching me?" Instead of, "How can I avoid this pain?" you ask, "How can I grow through this pain?" Instead of seeing yourself as a victim of cruel circumstances, you begin to see yourself as a student in the school of existence. But Al-Ghazali's wisdom goes even further. He realized that the people who suffer the most often develop the greatest capacity to help others who are suffering. The person who has never known hunger cannot truly understand the starving. The person who has never felt heartbreak cannot comfort the brokenhearted. The person who has never faced failure cannot guide those who have fallen. Your deepest wounds often become your greatest gifts to the world. The experience that nearly destroyed you might become the source of healing for countless others. Al-Ghazali called this the sacred recycling of suffering. Pain transformed into compassion, loss transformed into wisdom, failure transformed into guidance. This is why many of the most helpful, wise, and compassionate people you will ever meet are those who have been through the deepest struggles. They have been enrolled in life's most advanced courses, and they have graduated with degrees in understanding that cannot be earned any other way. Al-Ghazali also discovered something else that revolutionized his understanding. The timing of our challenges is not random. Life has a way of presenting us with exactly the difficulty we need at exactly the moment we are ready to handle it and learn from it. Not a moment sooner, not a moment later. Think about your own life. The challenges you faced 5 years ago, could you have handled them 10 years ago? Probably not. You needed those intervening years to develop the strength, wisdom, and resilience required. But now, looking back, you can see how each experience prepared you for the next one. Al-Ghazali called this the perfect curriculum. Life is not happening to you randomly. There is an intelligence at work, presenting you with precisely the experiences you need for your growth and development. But this intelligence operates on a timeline that is far longer and more complex than your immediate desires and plans. This doesn't mean that all suffering is meaningful or that we should passively accept injustice. Al-Ghazali was clear about this. We should still work to reduce unnecessary pain in the world, to fight against cruelty and unfairness, to help those who are struggling. But we can do this work from a place of wisdom rather than bitterness, understanding rather than anger. When you understand that difficulties are often disguised opportunities, you approach them differently. Instead of asking, "Why me?" you ask, "What now?" Instead of focusing on what you've lost, you focus on what you might gain. Instead of seeing yourself as a victim, you see yourself as a participant in your own evolution. Al-Ghazali spent the final decades of his life teaching this wisdom to anyone who would listen. He had found the answer to the question that had once nearly destroyed him. Bad things don't happen to good people because the universe is cruel or random. They happen because good people have the capacity to transform bad things into profound wisdom, strength, and compassion. And once you understand this, once you really grasp it in the depths of your being, you begin to see every challenge differently. Not as evidence that life is unfair, but as evidence that life believes in your ability to grow, to learn, to become something greater than you currently are. The difficulties you face are not your punishment. They are your invitation to become who you are meant to be. Al-Ghazali discovered that the universe is not trying to break you. It is trying to make you unbreakable. And perhaps most importantly, Al-Ghazali realized that the question, "Why do bad things happen to good people?" assumes that we know what bad and good truly are. But from the perspective of our ultimate development and growth, what appears bad might actually be the greatest good we could receive. The key is learning to trust the process, even when you cannot see the purpose. To have faith in your own strength, even when you feel weak. To believe in the possibility of growth, even in the midst of loss. This is Al-Ghazali's ultimate answer. Good people face difficulties not because the universe has abandoned them, but because the universe has such faith in them. You are being prepared for something greater than your current understanding can grasp. Your struggles are not signs of your failure. They are signs of your potential. If this video resonated with you, like this video and share this with your loved ones. Thanks for watching.